Lesson 10, the last lesson of the equations unit. You guys have really done a great job in this unit. We are going to translate verbal sentences. So just like we did with expressions, but now we're going to do with mathematical equations. So just a quick vocabulary review. We have our plus sign here. So I'm going to start by writing plus, sum, add, total, all the words we discussed in the expression unit that mean to add. If you could look back in your notes, or you can think of anything else to put there, maybe increase. And as we go through the word problems, maybe we'll come back and add some more to this chart. More than is, I already see it in problem number 1, very important, right? That word than is a switch word, so go ahead and star that so that you remember that word than. You're going to put a double arrow or whatever you need to, or underline it to remind yourself that when you see that, you have to switch the order. Minus, so everything opposite of what I have in the addition column, right? So sum, difference, add, subtract, increase, decrease, more than, less than. So again, star, because than is a switch word. Something else we're going to put in this column is subtracted from also being a switch word that we learned in our expressions unit. Multiplication, so multiply or multiplied by, right? Product of, division, maybe not division, maybe divided by, because you wouldn't see division, the word division in a word problem. So divided by, ratio. And again, as we go through the word problems, we can come back and add more to this list. Stay away from using the word each in the multiplication and division column because it depends on what information they're providing you with. If they give you the total and they ask for each, then you would divide. If I tell you how much each one is and I want you to find the total, then you would multiply. So maybe just like down here, maybe we'll write find the total, and they tell you, and they give you each one. Okay, and then here they give the total and ask you to find each one. Ask to find each. Okay, if that makes sense, because I know a lot of you get that word each confused. You don't know when to multiply or divide. So division, they give you the total and they ask you to find each. Or if they ask you to find the total, then you're going to multiply if they tell you how much each one is. So let's look at some translating. So again, switch words are starred in our chart, so we want to pay extra attention to those. Translate each sentence into an equation. So last unit it said expression. Because this specifically says equation, we want to make sure we have an equal sign. If it said expression, we would not have an equal sign. Not only do they want us to translate each sentence into an equation, they then want us to solve the equation. So sometimes they might just want you to translate. In this case, they want us to translate and solve. So problem number 1, 6 more than a number is 12. So than is a switch word. I'm going to put that double arrow above the word than to remind myself of that. Is means equal to. That's why we're translating these into equations. So I know this is going to be equal to 12. So I'm going to take care of that first, get that out of the way. 6 more than a number. Well, since than's a switch word, a number, I'm going to cross that out. I'm going to use x as my missing number, and then 6 more than that. So x plus 6 equals 12. And then I would solve it. I would start by subtracting 12 from both sides. These are 0. X equals 6. Number 2, 3 times a number is 21. Again, I'm going to take care of my is equals 21. 3 times a number, I don't know what the number is, so I'm going to cross that out and use X for the number. Some of you might use N. You could use any variable you want. 3 times a number is now going to be 3x. Again, multiplication, we don't put anything in between. Now solve. The inverse of multiplying by 3 is to divide by 3. I get x is equal to 7. Number 3, 7 less than a number is 20. So is means equal to, so equals 20. 7 less than is a switch word. A number, I don't know what the number is. I'm going to use x. So 7 less than a number is going to be x minus 7. You want to make sure you have that order correct because when you go to solve it, I'm going to add 7 to both sides. X is equal to 27. Number 4, 5 more than twice a number is 7. So is 7 means equals 7. 5 more than's a switch word. That means twice a number. I don't know what the number is. Twice a number would be 2x. 5 more than, so plus 5. 2x plus 5 equals 7 is my equation. I now need to solve that by subtracting 5 from both sides. 2x equals 2. Divide both sides by 2. I get x is equal to 1. Problem number 5. 6 less than half of a number is 12. Is 12 equals 12. 6 less than is a switch word. That means half of a number is going to come first. I don't know what the number is, so there's my variable. Half of a number can be written 2 ways. I know that if I cut something in half, I'm cutting it into 2 pieces. So you could do x over 2 and then 6 less than that. Or half of being multiplication. So half times x minus 6 equals 12. So you could write the equation either way. I'm going to use a different color. No matter which equation I solve, I'm going to have to start by adding 6 to both sides. I now have 1/2 x equals 18. If I solve the bottom version, the inverse of multiplying by a half is to divide by a half. And I would get x is equal to 36. If I solve the top equation, I'm still going to have to add 6 to both sides. But now I have x over 2 equals 18, and the inverse of dividing by 2 is to multiply by 2. So I'm still going to have x equals 36. So you write it whichever way you feel comfortable with, but also recognize that if it's multiple choice, you could see it in either of the 2 versions there written in red. So half of can be 1/2 times or divided by 2. Number 6, switch back to red here. The product means multiplication, of also means multiplication, a number, and 3/4 is 12. Is 12 is equals 12. Product of a number, we use x, and 3/4. So 3/4 x. Multiplication, no operation. 3/4 x equals 12 is my equation. Now I'm going to solve my equation. This is 3/4 times x. The inverse of multiplying by 3/4 is to divide by 3/4. If you're using a calculator, you're doing 12 divided by 3 ABC4. If you're not using a calculator, you're going to have to do keep, change, flip. X equals 16. Number 7, 6 more than switch word. 4 times a number is -9. Make sure you have that negative with the 9. So 4 times a number, I don't know what that number is, so 4x. And 6 more than that, plus 6. So 4x plus 6 equals -9 is my equation. I'm now going to solve my equation, subtract 6 from both sides. 4x equals, signs are the same, I add and keep, or use your calculator. Is that going to give me a decimal? negative 9 plus negative 6, yeah, negative 15, divided by 4. 4 can't divide into 15 evenly, so if you take that one step further, we get negative 3.75. Some of you might write negative 3 3/4. Some of you might leave it as negative 15 over 4. So any of those are acceptable answers for x. So whatever version you prefer there, because the whole number in integers were given to me. So I would take the decimal or fraction. The difference between 12 and 10 times a number is 52. So is 52 equals 52. Difference means subtraction, and it's the difference between 12, so that comes first, and 10 times a number. I don't know what that number is, so the difference between 12 and 10x, 10 times some number. No switch words here, so it stays in the order that is in the original problem, in the verbal expression there. 12 minus 10x equals 52 is my equation. I'm now going to solve that equation by subtracting 12 on both sides, which you should be sick of solving equations at this point, 10 lessons in this unit. I now have negative 10x. Make sure that negative comes down with that 10 equals 40. The opposite of multiplying by a negative 10 is to divide by a negative 10. X equals negative 4. Again, make sure you pay attention closely to those negatives. Okay, so now your Google form questions. There's no try these in this unit, so I'll try to come up with something for us to practice with in class. But your Google form questions come from the classwork/homework page, which is page 130. I've chosen 5 from this page. I believe I don't ask you to solve any, just translate. So up at the top, I'll just write translate, because there's no directions here. So in the Google form, I believe you would just have to translate in order to pick the multiple choice option that you think it is. So please read carefully and pay attention to any numbers that are negatives. Okay, I'm going to start the video for the review pages now.